Okay, so this is going to be a little bit more in-depth on moccasins. So when or what most people refer to as moccasins. Moccasins, of course, is a Virginia Algonquin word, just like tomahawk, possum, raccoon, persimmon, pecan. And I apologize if you say pecan, you are entirely incorrect. If you wanted to be, technically, if you say pecan, you're also wrong. The original word is pecan simon. But this right here is what I'm standing on. It's just a piece of thicker paper that came from a delivery bag. I just DoorDashed in some wings. But I'm going to show you how to make a pattern if you are going to be making a pair of moccasins for either yourself or people ask me to make moccasins for them. So you can either draw your pattern directly onto your hide and make your pattern on your hide like I did in the last video. But people said they weren't able to see it really clearly, so I want to make sure that everyone who wants to know knows how to do that properly. So in the eastern woodlands, we don't make thick, like latigo soled kind of moccasins, or the two-piece top and bottom like in the plains. We don't wear Minnetonkas. We wear mostly pucker style of moccasins, or center seam style of moccasin. And I will show you kind of what that looks like and how to make the pattern. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to put both of your feet together like this on a piece of paper, preferably something thick like cardstock, or like grocery bag paper works really well. That's what most people that I know use for making their patterns. And then you want to take a marker or a pen of some kind. So you can use either. I'm going to use a marker for the sake of you being able to see this. So then what you want to do is you want to take with your feet together, right? You want to trace the outline of your feet. Okay. So now that I've got that done, oh, look at that, that's perfect. I'm just going to kind of fill in the gaps here. This right here doesn't exist. This gap in between your toes does not exist. Do not pay any attention to that. I'm going to have just barely enough to make this pattern on this piece. But now what you want to do is at the widest part of your foot, take and add about an inch. Just add that to the pattern. I'm just going to say that right there. And now, from there, the thing that I would do next is draw a straight line at the heel. Just as far as you want. If you're gonna make the kind that has the ears or the flaps built in, make this as wide as you want, or as wide as you want your ears to be. I'm gonna draw it all the way across just for ease. Now, draw a line straight down to that there. At this point, what I would do is fold this in half this way. That. And then put about an inch behind here. And that's how wide my ears are. Let's simply draw out my ears. Like that. just like that, right? And now, you can, if you want it to be really symmetrical, what you can do is fold this in half. So, this is probably a pretty strange thing to fold because it's been folded so many times already. But when you go to cut it out, of course, just cut around. You can also just continue your let's see. Just like that. So there's your pattern. Now if you want to cut it out, I'm going to cut this out just for funsies. I'm going to start over here because this side is basically complete. But this is actually the pattern for 1 foot. Just like that. It seems like it's just meant to work that way. So that's the pattern for a single foot. So this will wrap up around. You can take a string and measure. This is the handle off this delivery bag. At the top part of your foot, right about where this is going to sit, you can measure about where this is going to hit you, like that, and use that as kind of a measurement to see if you got this right. And if you did, this, look at that, should be just perfect, just like that. All right, I've been doing this. I've had moccasins on my feet since I could walk, since before I could walk. All right, little baby booties, those are real popular. And so that you just get used to that. You'll get to that point where you can just do it by eye, and you don't even have to. I could just sit there and cut out a pattern without having to draw it out. Now I have a pattern. I make a pattern about every year or every season, depending on if I notice a change in the way my moccasins are wearing. But I make a pattern periodically. I don't use the same pattern for too much longer because my feet change over time. So this is the pattern for 1 foot. So I'm going to start here. Now you don't add anything to the heel. Sometimes I do. I'll add maybe like a ½ inch if I know I'm going to like pucker it really tight. But there's no need to add anything to the heel of the moccasin. Now, if there's any place that you're going to find looseness, it's going to be in the toe. And that's because it's such an inconsistent seam. There are a couple ways to get around that. For this, I'm going to fold it in half. Now, oh, that's not right. There we go. Fold this in half. Now I can get these lined up just right. It really is horrible when you get your moccasin all made and you go to sew it up and your ears don't match up. That's the worst. So here's what I'm going to do. So that's this little trick that I do. I make my moccasins. And in Shawnee we call these moccasins, which means like a leather shoe. You call any leather shoe like that moccasins. So yeah, there's a moccasin pattern right there. So it doesn't take all that long, and you can make 2. I only really make 1. It's the same for both feet. So this foot makes the same pattern as this foot. What makes it left and right is when you wear it in. So wearing in a moccasin, you know, I actually usually make them pretty tight, pretty, you know, pretty secure on the foot, especially in the length. That's really where you want to pay attention to your pattern, because you'll waste leather if you make it too long. Um, you know, if I have any extra length on the heel, I usually cut thin strips off the heel to use for either sewing up the moccasin or to use for uh, leather pieces that I can use to tie on, like deer tail cones and things like that, and other decorations, or leather for edge stripping for quill work. So, but that right there is a moccasin pattern. That's what you're looking for. And so when this folds up, foot, you have your, comes together here in the middle, and it should almost about meet out everywhere, right there. So that is it. That is a moccasin pattern. So if you're interested in getting a pair of moccasins from me, I've actually filled several orders for moccasins and just got a new one today as I'm making this video. And it's not really a popular item. Either I have people buy me a hide, so you buy me a hide, I'll make you a pair of moccasins, and I keep the rest of the hide. Or a pair of just standard plain like moccasins, just the center seam pucker toe style. You can use this here, what I've just showed you, and create a pattern, or simply trace your feet and I will create the pattern. So trace your feet like I showed you, and send that to me, and a pair of plain moccasins cost about $50. So there you are. But I hope this is helpful to those who said that they couldn't quite see what I was doing or what I was drawing, and wanted a little bit more in-depth tutorial on how to do this. So, nyawa, hine kochi.